Hello and greetings. Greetings all. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is where I read some papers which I've written. And today we're going to be reading from a paper I wrote for Honors Introduction to Music. It's a review of music of the Ainu, the OKI with Ma Rewrew is the name of the act which I got to see the performance of. When I first began researching the Ainu, who are considered to be the original indigenous peoples of Japan approximately a decade ago, I never would have imagined being granted the exciting opportunity to witness their native music performed in person. It was so exciting to be there at the Wright Music Hall on the MTSU campus when the show began. It made it even better that an accomplished musician whose thoughts I respect so much, my dad, was there by my side for this evening out, especially because he was just as thrilled about this unique experience as I was myself. Our lead performer, Oki, came out to start the show off, making informative stage banter, as he would continue to do throughout the performance. We were then introduced to the mukri, a familiar twanging type of instrument which was reminiscent of a Jew's harp. This was played with a distinctive bouncy snap beat twang in a call and response pattern that reminded me of the resonance associated with the Aboriginal didgeridoo. The performers' colorful costumes were very similar to many of the indigenous semi-nomadic tribes found throughout the world. It quickly became apparent to me that this would be no orthodox classical performance. Turn the page. Song for Swole, or perhaps Small Fish, was the second number in the set. According to Oki's monologue introduction, it describes the ritual of talking to the fish, gaining the fish's trust, soothing the fish into being friends with you, promising your new fish friend presents. Then you can catch them and eat their flesh, but you do not eat their soul. The soul goes to the spirit world, but he was also careful to mention there is no hierarchy in spirituality as regards to animals at all, as in Native American and Siberian totem houses, just to name a couple of examples. There is no king animal in the Kamau, translated approximately to the collective spirits of nature. Oki sets the tone of the tune by calmly saying, "Trust, trust, believe me, fish." The music itself was brief and tranquil. Oki at that point discussed his grandfather, saying that his esteemed grandfather had caught an impressive 300 bears. This stood as the introduction to a song based upon a mythological premise. The instrumentation here incorporated the tankori, a stringed instrument similar to a dulcimer here in the West. Oki mentions that perhaps Gibson will start making tankori soon, but also adding that this would be quite difficult to undertake for the underlying fact that the instruments to the Ainu are living things, or cantos. The word cantos is indicative to Oki of a traditional tale about a hot, blind man looking for his heart out in the vast and overwhelming world. This number is in fact two songs combined, the fourth and fifth numbers in the first set. The beat runs at a 6/8 time and is most notably not pentatonic in scale, proving to be an exception to much of Asian music. The melodic lines remind me of traveling via sled over a snowy tundra. Enjoyably, the reverberating bass and speaker alignment of the theater brought the sound like a sucker punch to my diaphragm. I also noticed that the drum line in the performance was softer than the overall Native American ceremonial variety, and that the rhythm and use of many small percussive bells was very similar to those found in Balinese musical traditions. The fourth song lacks a title, as far as I am aware. It is about a man that goes to travel and comes back home to tell what he sees during his adventures abroad, and was a great success as a crowd pleaser, it seems. Next is the song East of Kunashiri. It is named after this island that lies nearby the Hokkaido prefecture. This is where the Ainu used to live, but since the occupation of the island by Soviet forces post-World War II, the Ainu mainly live elsewhere in the surrounding region and now occasionally just visit there to pay homage. Ainu still consider it to be an important part of their native tradition to make this pilgrimage. This song commemorates this sacred pilgrimage point. It is, as a work, very reliant on melodic beats and contains very intense alternating tempos. There is an intensely strophic interplay of communication which occurs between the instruments on the stage. The tonkori readily assumes the role of the versatile vocal lead in this piece. I can honestly agree with my father's reflection of it as resembling an emulation of classic California surf guitar music with the staccato machine gun fingering action, setting a pace to contend with for the other contributing players. This surf guitar style of guitar lead is incidentally derived from Albanian folk music and mimics the shape of a tunnel wave crashing up on the shoreline. This interpretation is drawn from a quote by Dick Dale, one of the forefathers of the surf guitar style. At this point, I realized that there were a total of 4 different tonkori on the stage, tuned and shaped in a variety of ways for versatility to the artist intending to play them. During the sixth song, entitled Kampu Popo, the storyline is one of a dialogue that is composed of 2 seagulls talking. One of them says to the other, "How do you raise your children?" The second responds, "If I have no food, I steal it for them." The gulls continue on this way about the seagull chick's needs, such as needs for nesting and so on, for some time. The moral of this tale to the Ainu people is one of uncompromising devotion to both one's own as well as the tribal group's children. The desire is to give them all of the best of what there is to be had in this world. As the music begins, it becomes clear to me that the concert has moved into full swing with the introduction for this piece of the female vocalist, who, along with her tandem backing female vocalist and dancer, both received much fanfare. Nisange, the female lead vocalist's name, is joined on stage by her tandem compatriot, a slightly smaller and younger shadow of a girl, as her backing vocalist. Together, Throughout the course of the evening, they performed many lyrical, fluid dances and also sang many poignant, well-versed harmonies as well. The texture within the piece is one of the pomophony, with a single refrain strophic lead. The following seventh number gave me goosebumps and chills, so thrilled was I to hear all of the encompassing sounds reverberate throughout the room. Entitled Hakonaya Kohenanida, it carried over from the previous number the concept of the dominant female lead singer as the driving force for the musicians. Truly, both women on stage were the perfect embodiment of simultaneously coexisting modesty and leadership. Their voices seemed to precisely control both meter and timbre, resulting in a tremendously hypnotic 10-bar refrain. This is followed by a work which conveys the tale of a group of birds gathering together by a lake, dancing to greet one another there. It is composed in the ABAC structure in the fifth key of E equals B or B7th, with an obviously prevalent call and response texture. It proved reminiscent to me of Beijing military marching cadences I am familiar with. In contrast, the smooth, melodic dance movements seem to take up from a Peloponnesian or Hawaiian influenced background. The next song's introduction is concerned with a woman's excitement when she receives new precious fabric. It is the ninth song, entitled Sarambet, or the Fabric Song, and it also simultaneously celebrates a woman who wears red because to the Ainu people she points the way. Incidentally, Russian culture also has an intense amount of appreciation for the color red, as it wards off the evil eye, and when worn by women is thought to be highly indicative of beauty and ultimate virtue. In this piece, the dances seem most noticeable, with water-like fluid movements emanating from the women on stage, who raise their hands heavenward as though offering up prayers, presenting allusions to waves of wind through the trees. Musically, the use of the major B7th, yearning it to resolve the tonic F, was enticing and nearly intoxicating to my ears. At this point, we were granted an intermission. While outside, I overheard an elderly gentleman say to his group as they attempted to flee the scene, "Too much repetition for me. It sounds like a broken record," end quote. This made me both simultaneously smile and also to pity the person who could not fully appreciate such a uniquely transcendental experience apart from their normal daily routine. After intermission, we were privy to a number of newer sounding compositions inspired by the thoughts of a 91-year-old tribal leader. The storyline here is one of an enemy that takes over the land and ocean, the resulting confusion within the people's hearts that this event causes, and how this makes no cohesive sense to them whatsoever. Ancestral Ainu women say Ainu spirit never fade away like water. This 10th piece is entitled Tapatome, or when translated, take over. Musically, it contains a 6/8 alternating tempo. I hear a correlation with contemporary Aboriginal artists who, through their music, protest the hidden segregation and desecration of their native land, and this seems here to be a strong influence in this piece's form, as in the other works regulated to the second set. Also, I perceive a strong link to Yusu Indur from Zamibia, as well as the southwestern Native American tribes of the United States, with a heavy use of beaded instruments and rattles in the percussion section. The 11th song of the show, second song of the second set, is immediately preceded by a tale of the salmon coming up the river. The sun is burning their shoulders, yet they continue on their pilgrimage with determination. The salmon, just as we ourselves, eventually will always inevitably return to our roots. The title of the piece is Nehekorichti and was written in the city of OKI for the guitar, which appears to me most likely to have been a new model bird's eye maple Gibson electric. The music exemplifies a strong ballad style with dominant vocal lead. I felt there was a definite Namibian homophony and polyphonic influence. There was the oddly placed use of MIDI effect uplinked with the guitar to showcase the emulation of the synthetic tontoku range. I felt this to be unnecessary, however entertaining it was for the artist. At this point, it was quite apparent that the evening was indeed drawing to a close, and that the best part of the event may have already been seen. In concordance with the idea came the 12th song of the show, Kai Kai Oshto, about a sacred rippling lake at the top of the hallowed mountain of Hokkaido. This song can be readily compared to a traditional farewell song from New Caledonia. Unlike the New Caledonians form, however, it includes trilling vocal elements like birdsong, common in Native American ceremonies, and also found in Eastern European formal choral arrangements. My enjoyment of this piece was somewhat put off by the snickering young couple behind me who were chuckling and talking about how it sucked. I wondered, why are they here? It was then I thought, I am not here for them, I am here for me, and so with that I smiled and attempted to recoup my spirits. We are then privileged to view some traditional male dancing within the framework of the 13th work, brought to us here care of Tosh, the male percussionist and backup singer. It is noted that in the course of the performance, male and female voices are relegated separately to different pieces entirely. The song itself is about a hunter's dilemma, whether or not he should or should not shoot a bird. In the end, he decides to leave the bird alone and lower his bow and arrow. Tosh, throughout the demonstrative dance routine, assumes the warrior's stance, which is the primary basic foundation position found in the Tai Chi meditative and martial arts forms. The music itself is choral in nature, with a distinctive call and response polyphony taking place. During the piece, the dancer fends off his own internal demons, attacking with a guilty conscience over killing the bird. In the end, the hunter responds to his profound connection to the earth by raising up his bow to a higher power of the cosmos in an unmistakable offering stance. The final true song of the performance is yet another contemporary piece, inspired by the 91-year-old elder Takamura. It is prefaced by the quote from him, "Understand one another without hate." The song itself is strongly influenced by the New Age style and very non-traditionally based in its nature. There seems to be a distinctively reggae or Caribbean influence heard here as well. There was some attempt made on the part of the players at the encore, in which many younger people took up the invitation to join the players on stage in dance. Although I appreciated the informality of the finale, to me it seemed a half-hearted attempt and somewhat like a cheap marketing ploy in its contrived nature, especially in contrast to the superbly spiritual nature of the first set. I was a little disappointed at the catering done to make the experience applicable in favor of the majority. Perhaps it may have been a situation such that the female singers were somewhat consumed by stage fright, which made their taking the lead such a rare occurrence. I certainly left with the impression that the use of guitar here was just a little too much over the boundary of creative license. Overall, though, I did enjoy some of the non-traditional elements, such as the use of large drums and electric bass. Even so, I look forward to the group's next tour greatly and hope that by then they have had an opportunity to enlarge their group and repertoire with many more traditionally aligned elements. Well, thank you for letting me read my visions of attending an Ainu concert, and I sincerely hope that you enjoyed hearing about my experience and this show that I got to absorb and become a part of, and gave me such fond memories. I will come back and read more music and art and culture in a little bit, and I sincerely appreciate uh, anyone who likes and shares and subscribes to these videos. So thank you so much for tuning in here with me, and I will speak to you very, very soon. Again, many blessings. Thank you for Mystic Ashram. Thank you for me. I'm Megan, and I wish you well. Take care, and talk to you soon.